Hello everyone, my name is Brittany and I am here to talk about my 5 books I never finished or DNF'd. This is the second time I'm filming this video because the first time I didn't feel like I gave a good enough description of all the books that I was talking about. I just kind of gave you an overview on why I didn't finish them. I didn't talk about the book or anything, and I think that's part of it. The first book is Last One Home by Debbie Macomber. Now, I am a fan of her Christmas novels. I have one in the background right here, which is Dashing Through the Snow. Absolutely loved that novel. This novel is about a woman who is getting out of an abusive relationship. She married a guy right out of high school, ran away from her family, and it ended up being a very abusive relationship. So she divorced her husband and then moved out with her daughter. Her daughter, I think, is about 13 in the book, maybe a little bit younger. She's around her teen years. Cassie Carter, who is the main character, is a hairdresser who is trying to save up for a new house. She wants to make a life with her daughter and kind of give her as much as she can. Now, this book does mention Habitat for Humanity, which I think is really good. Cassie is working up towards the opportunity to have her own house from Habitat for Humanity, and I don't know too much about that organization, but I don't know how the process actually works, so I don't know how true to the process that this book is. I know that in the book she has to help another family work on their house, whether it's painting or anything. And obviously the contractor that is the main head contractor she butts heads with and she's supposed to fall in love with, of course. Isn't that how it normally works? But the thing I didn't like about this book is I just couldn't relate to the characters, and not just Cassie herself, but her 2 sisters. You know, for me, it just kind of, it was like she did this one thing and suddenly they can't stand her. Like, she ran off with a guy that she fell in love with in high school, and it was just suddenly like she was disowned from the family. And I just didn't understand that mindset. I'm more of a person who gives second and third chances, which not normally I shouldn't, but you know, I always believe that somebody should have a second chance. And I just felt like the characters in this book didn't really make sense to me. You know, I didn't, and maybe opinions are different. You know, I grew up with a grandmother who would give the shirt off her back for somebody who treated her like dirt her entire life, basically. And it was also kind of just like that Cassie was a bother to her sisters, even though they've barely talked in the last, 13 years or so. So I just couldn't understand why they would think that Cassie is such a bother. There wasn't much, as far as I remember, there wasn't much build-up towards this hostility towards their sister. So I just didn't understand it, and I couldn't really finish it and just put it down for other things that I liked better. The next book is Triple Moon by Dela Cruz. So this book is about 2 sisters who are twins, and it's supposed to be a spin-off of the Witches of East End. So it's a summer at East End, and the girls live in New York with their father, and an incident happens where they're losing control of their powers. So their father sends them to East End to go stay with Ingrid Beauchamp, who was the original character in the other book series, which I didn't read that book series. I saw the TV show, and I didn't even finish the TV show. I feel like the characters were just bratty. You know, it is on my list of books that I want to pick up again this year and try and give a second chance. I did kind of put it down for things that I just thought were more interesting. And there are characters in here that I might fall in love with. So I'm assuming that they have some sort of growth throughout the book, and I would rather just give this book another chance at some point. The next book is If I Stay from Gayle Forman. Now, this is a very popular book, so you could see better kind of descriptions on BookTube of this book, I'm sure. But basically, Maya is a 17-year-old girl who is going through the normal things of high school. She finds a boy, she falls in love, she's trying to decide what college to go to, and then all of a sudden, her and her family get into a really bad accident in the snow, and she's the only surviving person. She is in a coma, though, and it's her trying to decide within her coma if she wants to stay. You know, she has her boyfriend, her best friend, a promising future, possibly playing the cello, but then, you know, she can hear everything that's going on around her in this coma, so she knows that her entire family is now dead. You know, her little brother and her parents. This was made into a movie, and that is part of the why I never finished it. Now, I don't have that far left. I only have about 50 more pages to go, so I might finish this and just kind of get it done with. But I did see the movie. I don't quite remember what happens. This book, I did like the book as I was reading it. The grandfather really reminded me of my grandfather and made me laugh and cry a bit. So I definitely think that this is a book that's worthwhile, and I might give another try just to finish it off. I probably won't count it towards my 20 books that I want to read in 2018. Just because I only have 50 pages left, and unless I go and reread the entire thing, I just don't see it as reading a book, you know. So definitely want to finish this one. So the next book I don't have a physical copy of because it was something that I read in high school. I probably sold it in like a garage sale or something, but it's The Hot Zone by Richard Preston. Now, this book is about the true story of the creation of the Ebola virus. I read it for a 10th grade English honors class. I didn't do so well in my 10th grade English honors class, which is a story in itself, but I got the opportunity through my school to retake it online as an online course while I was still taking grade English. For the English honors class, we had to read an extra book. There was a list of books we could choose from, and The Hot Zone seemed like the one that most stuck out to me. They did describe it as a harder book to read, but I didn't realize that they meant harder in the way that I thought. I thought it meant that it was like a more complicated book to get into. Maybe it was a more advanced reading style, not that it was super gory and I was going to want to regurgitate all of my food while reading it. I did not finish this book because the biggest problem is how graphic the details are about the symptoms of the Ebola virus and the way the disease takes a toll on your body. It was extremely graphic to the point that I don't believe that it should have been on a 10th grade reading list at all. I could understand maybe college, but definitely not 10th grade. At one point, my grandfather had to actually go to the store while I was trying to do my homework and get me crackers and Sprite to help curb my nausea from reading this book. I actually petitioned my teacher and emailed her, and I said, I did not realize that this book was going to be as graphic as it is. Is it a possibility that I can read a different book? And she allowed me the opportunity to switch books, which I read a separate piece instead. Last book on my list of books I did not finish is Secondhand Spirit by Juliet Blackwell. Now, this book, I do have a physical copy somewhere. I'm not quite sure where it is right this second. This book is part of the Witchcraft Mystery series of novels, and essentially the main character, Lily, moves to San Francisco. I don't remember where she was from beforehand, but she opens a vintage clothing or fashion boutique in San Francisco, and different things start happening. A client turns up dead after Juliet had been at her house, and children start going missing. And though the police think that it's a normal thing and that they're not connected, Lily doesn't think that that's true. Lily, the main character, believes that this is paranormal and thinks that she needs to solve this mystery. Of course, there has to be a good-looking cop because it is a kind of more romantic mystery type novel, but the reason I didn't like this book is it's another one I just kind of put down for other books that I thought were more interesting. This book does have kind of a slow start, and though there is some action in it, it doesn't really capture your attention enough to make you stay, in my opinion. Also, I think the world building needs some help. There's a non-human character that I think needs to be better described. That is 5 books I did not finish or I DNF'd. I hope that you liked this video. I do plan on making a couple other top 5 or 5 books type videos, so if you like those, please stick around and subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks. Bye. Theo. Life with a dog. Can you lay down? Coucher. You are so needy today. It's snowing, so I don't know why she's so needy. We're just gonna film like this, I guess.